many years, I decided to go to the doctor because I was having a lot of pain in my abdomen area. And I waited a few days and it wouldn't go away. So I decided, well, I better go to the doctor. And so I went to the doctor, and when the doctor checked me and, he went through a series of exams, he asked me, how long has this been going on? So I told him, and he said, you have a chronic condition, and it's a disease. And he said, this disease will never go away, and you will have to live with this for the rest of your life. And you will have to take medication for this condition. And I was shocked because I thought, it'd probably be no big deal. I'd go in and give me a little bit of medicine. I'll be home free. So anyhow, I went home, I got the medicine, and I took the medicine for 30 days. And as long as I was taking the medicine, I started feeling fine. But the problem is that the medicine was just as bad as the pain because it made me sick. So after 30 days, I woke up on the 31st day, and I was back to the original pain. And I was hurting so bad that I told my wife, Karen, I said, I can't continue like this. I can't continue to take this medication and feel this pain. And so I made a decision at that time. I thought, wow, this is a situation that I've never been in. And I went in for a checkup. I went in for anything that I thought was ordinary, but then I found a giant in my life. Something that the doctor told me there was no cure for it, and I would have to live with this for the rest of my life. So I decided I'm going to learn, and I'm going to trust God, and I'm going to believe to defeat this giant. And for 3 days, I was curled up in my bed, hurting and trying to pray, trying to praise, trying to read. And for 3 days, I was really miserable. But at the 4th day, when I woke up in the morning, I was completely healed. No pain, no side effects, and I never, to this day, thank God, have had to take any medication or go back to the doctor for that same issue. That giant was defeated in my life. And I understand that sometimes we struggle between point A and point B, but I want to tell you that I want to talk to you a little bit about how to destroy your giant, how to destroy your Goliath, because every single one of us has some type of giant in their life. And believe me, I have my own, and maybe I have more than one, who knows. You certainly will have something, but we can learn how to rise up, and there's some secrets that we can learn that can help us live a life that is worthy of being blessed and walking with God. The portion of scripture that I want to bring to your attention, that I want to use to teach you a few principles, and this is going to be in 2 parts. So today I'll do the first part, and the following Sunday I'll do the second part, because it's just too much to try to cover in one 30-minute session. So this comes out of 1 Samuel chapter 17, and it's the classic famous story of David and Goliath. And so throughout the story, there are some principles that I want you to pay attention, I want you to notice, because if you're aware of what's happening, the context of your life, you are aware of whether you're going to discover or stumble into a giant, and then obviously learn how to destroy it. But the context of this story is very interesting, and if you bear with me, I got a couple of symbolisms and typologies that I want to bring to your attention, because that story is full of names, and as I study, every name, almost every single name in the Old Testament has a meaning. Like the Philistines truly represent contamination. The Amalekites truly represents lowly spirits, depression or despondency. So David is sent by his father to just do an ordinary errand. To just go and bring bread and some cheese to his brothers who are truly the soldiers, and David is just sent out to do a simple errand for his father. And let me tell you something, sometimes in the ordinary things of life, we actually discover an amazing opportunity. But so he's in this environment that is contaminated. When he shows up, everybody's discouraged, everybody has a bad attitude, everybody has doubts and fears, and everyone is thinking, wait, we're not good enough to take this giant. And in reality, they have basically lost their praise, lost their positivity, and they were basically struggling just to hold their ground. And so this army had been there for 40 days, which is symbolic of a work that's being completed, because the number 40 means completion. So they were rooted there. In other words, the longer you stay with a defeated mentality, the deeper that mentality gets into your heart of hopelessness, of despair, and you begin to give in, and you begin to have a negative attitude, and you begin to basically just throw your hands up in the air and say, hey, whatever, whatever is going to happen. So, but what's interesting, which is a sign of hope, is that they were in a valley called Elah. And this valley was a type of green meadows that was full of foliage and greenery and abundance. And in other words, they were paralyzed because of a giant, even though they were in the middle of an amazing abundance. In other words, even in the worst circumstances, God will put potential underneath your feet in order for you to be able to move forward and be able to come to the other side. So this kind of tells us that even at the worst of times, even in the worst circumstances, perhaps like you might be living right now, maybe in your relationships, maybe in your health, maybe in your finances, whatever your circumstances may be, I have good news for you. Even in the worst circumstances, you're going to find some of the best opportunities. And I experienced that when I was diagnosed with that condition. The doctor said, there's no cure for this. And at that moment, I was like almost like shocked. But I learned through that experience that worst experience brought about some amazing opportunities, because I got to know God in a deeper way, and I got to know a side of God that I had not experienced in my life. He truly heals, and he truly wants you to walk healthy. Oftentimes, the worst circumstances, watch this, listen to me. Oftentimes, the worst circumstances are actually the ones that will allow us to see the giant, to notice the giant that is in our life. Sometimes we don't even know it's there, because sometimes we've been living with him for so long that we don't even know they're there, and we don't even know the amount of impact that is having in our life. This giant paralyzed this army of warriors that have been trained. In other words, you can have the skill, you get to be trained, you can know and have all the knowledge of the world, but there was something missing in them, and I want to bring this to your attention. Goliath is just something that is strongly held in your life, and most of the times is in your mind. It's a mindset. It's a stronghold of your mind, whatever it may be. Maybe you were told you're not good enough. Maybe you have had a series of failures and you think nobody in my family has ever been successful. Maybe you thought, well, you know, my parents were drug addicts. You know, my uncles were in jail, or you think that your life is predestined because of genetics. But I have good news for you. If God comes into the picture of your heart, none of that can hold you down, because God has a good future for you and God has a good plan for you.